Thakur, he felt very unqualified. He felt very low. So he told the Lord that, please do not touch me. I'm most fallen and untouchable, and I'm the lowest among men. And the Lord's response was, I wish to touch you just to be purified, for your purified activities do not exist in me. And in this purport that we heard just previously, Srila Prabhupada explains how the Lord
Very welcome. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Very welcome. You come here often? Yes. Very good. Okay, we'll do a short kirtan and then we read from Bhagavad Gita. You know the Maha Mantra? Yeah? So you can follow that. You know Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Before that there's a short prayer, Jaya Radha Madhava, and then we go to Maha Mantra. Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Ya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Grivaradari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Grivaradari, Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana, Shoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hari Hari. Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Listen, Mataji. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare. You want to sing? You sing? You sing? Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Radhe Gokulananda Radha Gokulan Radhe Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Nitya Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gora Hari Bol. Jaya Gaur Pramanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, it was beautiful. Thank you very much. That was such a beautiful Medanga, wasn't it? All glories. I was so excited. Thank you for joining the kirtan. How did you like it? Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Are you going to stay for the Bhagavad Gita class? Perfect. That's great. we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, verse 5. So you can all look at in the screen and you can join. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Klesho, repeat. Dikataras, Tesham, Avyakta, Avyakta Shakta, Avyakta Sakta, Chetasam, Avyakta, Hi, Gatir, Dukam, Dehavadbir, Avapyate, Kleshodikaratastesham, Avyakta Sakta Chetasam, Avyakta Hi Gatir Dukam, Dehavadbir Avapyate, Kleshodikatarastesham, Avyakta Sakta Chetasam, Avyakta Hi Gatir Dukam, Dehavadbir Avapyate. I'll read once more and then I'll ask you to read it. Okay? Kleshodikatarastesham, Avyakta Saktachetasam, Avyakta Hir Gatir Dukam, Dehavadbir Avapyate. Who would like to try? Do you want to read? Try it. Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you. You want to try?
I can read the top one as well, yeah?
Yeah. You read from the Sanskrit?
Yeah.
Wow, you know? You,
It's the script here.
okay, very good. You also, you read from Sanskrit. Perfect, very good. Maji, you want to read? Just try. Try. Kleshadikatarastesham avyakta sakta te chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukam Dehavad bir avapyate. Thank you. Okay. We're now doing word by word. Klesha, trouble. Adhikatara, very much. Tesham, of them. Avyakta, to the unmanifested. Asakta, attached. Chetasam, of those whose minds. Avyakta, toward the unmanifested. He, certainly. Gati, progress. Dukam, with trouble. Deha vatbihi, by the embodied. Avapyate, is achieved. Did I pronounce it okay? No, not very good. I'm sure you can do much better. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Please repeat. For those whose minds... No, I'll say a little bit and then you repeat after. This way we can all be harmonious. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Thank you. Purport. The group of transcendentalists who follow the path of inconceivable, unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord are called Jnana Yogis. And persons who are in full Krishna consciousness are engaged in devotional service to the Lord. You know what they're called? Are called Bhakti Yogis. Yeah. So we have the impersonalists. They're called what? Yeah. Yeah. Well, some of them, are my buddies, but the kind of technical name for them is Jnana Yogis. And those who do devotional service, they are Bhakti Yogis. Now, here the difference between Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga is definitely expressed. So we're going to find out what's the difference. The process of Jnana Yoga, although ultimately bringing one to the same goal, is very troublesome. Whereas the path of Bhakti Yoga, the process of being in direct service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is easier and is natural for the embodied soul. So, did you get the definition of Jnana Yogis and Bhakti Yogis?
Can you repeat one more time, please?
Okay, who got it?
You got the ending, not the beginning.
Well, which one you got?
The Bhakti Yoga.
Okay, what's the definition of Bhakti Yogi?
Somebody who's like rendering their services to a deity form, like Krishna, as we can see here.
Well, definitely to the deities. Generally, says what? those who do devotional service to the Lord, those who serve the Lord. They are Bhakti yogis and Jnana yogis. Uh-huh. Jnani. What does Jnani mean? Knowledge. Well done. Yes. Those who focus on the theoretical part, yeah, they are Jnana yogis. The process of Jnana Yoga, although ultimately bringing one to the same goal, is very troublesome, whereas the path of Bhakti Yoga, the process of being in direct service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is easier and is natural for the embodied soul. So which one is difficult? Jnani is more difficult. Not only difficult, but troublesome. Well, we will see what that could mean. But the Bhakti Yoga is much easier and is more natural. The individual soul is embodied since time immemorial. Do you know what does embodied mean? Within a body, yeah. The living entities, the soul, is in the body. Yeah. But this situation, it says, well, we've been in this conditional life for millions of lifetimes. It is very difficult for him to simply, theoretically understand that he is not the body. We hear a lot, I'm not the body, I'm the spirit soul, right? Theoretically we hear it, but to actually understand it and realize it, because we have this material body, it is very difficult. Therefore, the Bhakti Yogi accepts the deity of Krishna as worshipable because there is some bodily conception fixed in the mind, as you said, which can thus be applied. Of course, worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his form within the temple is not idol worship. There is evidence in the Vedic literature that worship may be saguna or nirguna, of the Supreme possessing or not possessing attributes. That's what it means. You know, saguna, you've heard about saguna and nirguna? No? Okay, we will discuss that. Saguna is possessing some attributes, and nirguna is not having any attributes or qualities. Some people even say, you know, the forms, saguna having a form, nirguna not having form. This is according to the Jnanis. We will discuss that. Worship of the deity in the temple is saguna worship, for the Lord is represented by material qualities, but the form of the Lord, though represented by material qualities such as stone, wood, or oil paint, is not actually material. That is the form of the, you know, the deities is the absolute nature of the Supreme Lord. And now Prabhupada gives some example for us to understand it. A crude example may be given here. We may find some mailboxes on the street, and if we post our letters in those boxes, they will naturally go to their destination without difficulty. Is that correct? You put mail in the box, right? We know that it will be delivered, even though it's just a box made of some metal or wood, but we know that it will be delivered to the person. But any old box or an imitation which we may find somewhere, but which is not authorized by the post office will not do the work. You can't put it into any boxes. It has to be authorized box. Similarly, God has an authorized representation in the deity form, which is called Archa Vigraha. This Archa Vigraha is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. These deities, they are Archa Vigraha. They are incarnation of the Lord. God will accept service through that form. The Lord is omnipotent, all-powerful. Therefore, by his incarnation as Archa Vigraha, he can accept the service of the devotee just to make it convenient for the man in conditioned life. So, for a devotee, there is no difficulty in approaching the Supreme immediately and directly. But for those who are following the impersonal way to spiritual realization, the path is difficult. They have to understand the unmanifested representation of the Supreme through such Vedic literatures as the Upanishads, and they have to learn the language, understand the non-perceptual feelings, and realize all these processes. This is not very easy for a common man. A person in Krishna consciousness, engaged in devotional service, simply by the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, simply by offering regulative obeisances unto the deity, simply by hearing the glories of the Lord, and simply by eating the remnants of foodstuffs offered to the Lord, realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very easily. Jai Radha Gokulananda ki jaya, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jaya, Gauranitai ki jaya, ki jaya. There is no doubt that the impersonalists are unnecessarily taking a troublesome path with the risk of not realizing the absolute truth at the ultimate end. But the personalists, without any risk, trouble, or difficulty, approaches the Supreme Personality directly. A similar passage appears in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is stated there that if one ultimately has to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this surrendering process is called bhakti. But instead takes the trouble to understand what is Brahman, what is not Brahman, and spends his whole life in that way, the result is simply troublesome. Therefore, it is advised here that one should not take up this troublesome path of self-realization, because there is uncertainty in the ultimate result. A living entity is eternally an individual soul, and if he wants to merge into the spiritual whole, he may accomplish the realization of the eternal and knowledge aspects of his original nature. But the blissful portion is not realized. Have you heard about Sat Chit Ananda? Yes? So, Sat means eternal, Chit knowledge, and Ananda, bliss. So the impersonalists, they can achieve as far as Sat, eternality, and maybe Chit as well, knowledge, but they won't achieve Ananda, the bliss. By the grace of some devotees, such a transcendentalist, highly learned in the process of Jnana Yoga, may come to the point of Bhakti Yoga or devotional service. At that time, long practice in impersonalism also becomes a source of trouble because he cannot give up the idea. So both the process is difficult, but also at the end, to achieve the goal, they would be very attached to the impersonal aspect, so it will be difficult for them to give up. Therefore, an embodied soul is always in difficulty with the unmanifest, both at the time of practice and at the time of realization. Every living soul is partially independent, and one should know for certain that this unmanifested realization is against the nature of his spiritual blissful self. One should not take up this process. For every individual living entity, the process of Krishna consciousness, which entails full engagement in devotional service, is the best way. If one wants to ignore this devotional service, there is the danger of turning to atheism. Thus, the process of centering attention on the unmanifested, the inconceivable, which is beyond the approach of the senses, as already expressed in this verse, should never be encouraged at any time, especially in this age. It is not advised by the Lord. Okay, the purport is finished. Just do a short prayer, and then we just, as much as we have time, we will see what we can understand. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakhanvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Kleshudi Katarastesham Avyakta Saktat Chetasam Avyakta Hi Gatir Dukam Dehavadbir Avapyate. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. We are in the beginning of chapter 12, which starts by Arjuna's question. He's actually asking which one is better, which one of these two that now Krishna is answering. He doesn't use, Arjuna doesn't use the terms Jnana Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. He says, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested. And immediately Krishna answers that which one is higher? Devotional service. Yeah, engaging devotional service to Krishna is higher than worshipping his impersonal Brahman. He immediately says that one. But then he explains, he says his reasons. Why is that so? And so this verse is, again, he repeats, he confirms that Bhakti Yoga is higher than Jnana Yoga, but he says actually not only is higher, but it's also easier as well, right? Why is that? Well, do you all know? Have you heard about Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga? Do you know these terms? Right. Do you know that what is the process of Jnana Yoga? And what is okay? But you've heard about it. Okay. It is actually you saw that it is quite a long purport. So and Prabhupada is not. This is not the only time he speaks about the importance to understand the difference and to understand which one is better to follow. Throughout Bhagavad Gita, throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, often, very often, he talks about the three aspects of the Lord, and realizing, the three aspects of the Lord, how we can know God, right? And he emphasizes great importance on this. And here, even in the purport, Prabhupada refers to one verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. But even, even from chapter 2, he starts talking about understanding the Brahman aspects of Krishna, the Paramatma aspect, and Bhagavan aspect. Have you heard about this? Have you heard about Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan? These are all, of course, they're all Krishna, but Prabhupada gives the example of the sun, right? The first experience of the sun we have is the lights, yeah? The light and the warmth of the rays of the sun. But are the rays of the sun, are they actually sun? Right. But they are and they're not, right? They are, it gives a little bit of light and it burns as well. It can burn as well, right? Which is the same quality as the sun. But there's a huge difference between the rays of the sun and the actual sun, right? In the same way, yeah, sun in the sky, right? So in the same way, we are normally, for all of those who, well, everybody, even if those who say they don't believe in God, but generally, we have some experiences about God, yeah? We may some feel, some power, or there's some experiences that we get about God, but we tend to think that this is it. This is it. This is God. But actually, Prabhupada explains that this is called, technically, it's called Brahman. It's a effulgence of the Lord, right? The light and the energy of the Lord, right? But this energy, it must have a source, yeah? Electricity, we all use electricity, but it's coming from a source. And there is a powerhouse. And not only there's the powerhouse where the electricity comes, but there's also some people working, or some person in charge of the powerhouse to turn everything on, right? So God is the same. There is some energy of the Lord, there is some local aspects of the Lord, and there is the actual personality of the Lord. So the energy of the Lord is called Brahman, right? And the localized, you all hear, or you all experience Krishna, God in the heart. We all experience that. So that is known as the Sanskrit name for it is the localized aspect of the Lord. You heard about Paramatma. Yes. In fact, it means para atma. Well, your Sanskrit is great. I just know this little bit. So, atma, you know what does atma mean? Yeah, atma is the soul. All of us, we are atmas, right? But Krishna is para atma, great soul, or the supreme soul. Huh? Yes, bigger than Atma. Is the same. They both Atma means they're both spirit, right? Higher. Yes, yes, supreme, supreme soul. Yes, Atma is the soul, and then Krishna is Para Atma. Or when we say it quickly, it becomes Paramatma. So that is God in the heart. Yeah, we call it Paramatma, Para Atma. So those who Jnani yogis mostly come to the realization of Brahman, right? They realize that there is, this energy, and there are some experiences they have, but they mostly understand it through studying the literature. And then, so we call them Jnana yogis or impersonalists. But their understanding of God stops there. They don't go any further than that. They only understand God as the energy which kind of is everywhere, right? And we all experience that, and we all understand that. But we learn from the Shastra that there is more to it. Then after Brahman is Paramatma, which is the Lord in the heart, right? And mostly the dhyana yogis or ashtanga yogis, those who practice certain types of meditation, they come to this realization of Paramatma. And this kind of gives a little bit more understanding about God. So the Jnana yogis understand the eternality of the soul, of Atma, both the small soul and the supreme soul. And then Dhyana yogis or Ashtanga yogis, they come to the understanding of Paramatma and probably, more knowledge. Okay, Jnana yogis, they also have some knowledge, but it's very much limited to understanding the soul, not so much about the Lord. But Dhyana yogis, they come to some understanding about the Lord, that there is a supreme soul which sits in the heart and guides us. But this is also not the end, is not complete understanding of the Lord. What is the complete understanding of the Lord? But the third aspect, Bhagavan. What does Bhagavan mean? It means God, yes. But the impersonalists, they also say Brahman is God. The Dhyana yogis, they say Paramatma is God. But Bhagavan is, it includes Brahman and Paramatma, but a little bit more. What is that? Him as a person. Yes, supreme person. Bhagavan is actually the supreme personality of God. It is the source of Paramatma and Brahman. It's like this powerhouse. We have the electricity, and then this powerhouse. Electricity is Brahman. The powerhouse is Paramatma. But the person in charge of it, which allows the powerhouse to work, switches off, switches on everything, and allows the electricity to come to our house, that person. So Bhagavan is compared to that person, right? So by practicing Jnana Yoga, we come to the realization of Brahman. By practicing these, Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, we come to the realization of Paramatma. And how do we understand Bhagavan? Bhakti Yoga. By Bhakti Yoga, we can come to the understanding of Bhagavan. And what is Bhakti Yoga? Say again. Loving services to the Lord. Yes. Of course, in the beginning, well, in my case, there is, I have to learn and develop this love, but doing, serving the Lord in any way we can, as Prabhupada explained in the purport, deity worship is one aspect of serving the Lord. And very soon, in a few minutes, the curtain is going to open, and you will see the deities, which is, even though Prabhupada explained, even though it's made of some material substances, but it is authorized. It is no different than the Lord himself. So all the things they do on the altar, that is considered devotional service. But also Prabhupada mentioned about hearing, about the chanting that you were doing in the beginning of the class. That is also devotional service. And you can actually do, well, at home, if you have deities, the best is you do it with the deities. But if not, you can still, the names of the Lord is no different than the Lord and the deities. When you chant the Maha Mantra, Krishna is present in front of you. The day, you can see the day, you can look at the pictures or just focus and think about Krishna. So devotional service, one aspect is the deity worship, also hearing about the Lord, chanting about the Lord, thinking about the Lord. All that are considered devotional service. The main point that Prabhupada was making in the purport is thinking about Krishna as a person, as the supreme personality of Godhead, the source of everything that we have, the source of all other aspects of the Lord. So let's just chant. Do you actually know the meaning of the Mahamantra? Hare Krishna and Rama. Yes, these three words are repeated 16 times. Hare means internal energy of the Lord. Actually, is another name of Radharani. And Krishna means all attractive, and Rama, reservoir of all pleasure, the source of all pleasure. Ananda, we are Satchit Ananda. Naturally, we are Satchit Ananda. We are eternal, we are full of knowledge and full of bliss. But to reach all of three, if we worship Krishna as a person, then all three will be achieved simultaneously. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Govinande, Bhagavad Gita ki jaya.
Sing? Can you sing one? Yeah?
If you're singing, it's fine.
No, please sing.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm looking after the sound.
Okay.
Mridanga, please. Ramesh,
He can sing.
can you play Mridanga? You can play? Yeah, please.
And you will play with the guys, yeah? Okay, cool.
श्री श्री राधा गोकुलानंद की, श्री सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान की, जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की बजायो जायो गोरा चंदेर आरती को शोभा चांदेर आरती को शो